have certainly heard all about smart cities or connected cities. We've heard about connected buildings. But what about connected vehicles? On this episode of Connected with Laurie, we are going to learn all about vehicle intelligence and the reasons why it's so important. Please join me as I interview my longtime friend in the industry, Tom Robertson from Spireon. I'm your host, Laurie Caruso. Get ready to be amazed. Hey, Tom, how are you? So great to have you on the show.
Laurie, so good to see you. It's been a long time. Happy to be here.
It really has been a long time. I'll tell you,
Yes.
we have a lot of history together. We've been,
We do.
Connected, so to speak, throughout from the Nextel days to the Sprint days. What are you doing these days?
So, it's been quite a while since we were out there selling brick phones and push to talk and 1x data speeds on our wireless network, right?
Has it changed?
It's changed a little bit. We'll talk about some of that, I think, today, right? So we're going to ultimately talk about telematics. And back then we were, kind of putting phones and lock boxes in the cabs of vehicles to try to get this stuff done. So
it really has come such a long way. And I know that, you did a little bit of work at SoftBank as well, which was pretty innovative.
Well, I was at Sprint. So I was at Sprint for a long time, as you know, and that's when was lucky enough to have you on my team back in the day. We were probably violating some child labor laws with you having you on there because you must have been about 12 or 13 years old at the time.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. But yeah, so I was, as you know, I was, kind of leading the Sprint, the business teams in the Northeastern US for quite some time. And then I was, very fortunate to get into, you mentioned SoftBank. I actually worked at Sprint, but I was, leading the business development with the SoftBank companies. That was, for a few years there towards the end of the Sprint tenure prior to the T-Mobile acquisition. And I mean, that was an amazing experience. And it actually set me up well for what I'm doing now with Spireon, which is what we'll talk about. But it kind of made me realize that, the two keywords you hear a lot across all industries are digitalization and automation, right? Businesses are trying to get smarter. They're trying to automate all their operations. They're trying to extract every bit of intelligence and data that they can from every piece of their operation, right? Whether it's from smart buildings to smart cities to manufacturing facilities to vehicles. Everyone's looking to extract the data to get better, more efficient, more effective at what it is they do. So, that's kind of was the primary focus of a lot of those SoftBank companies. So it kind of set me up well for, what I've been doing since last year, which is leading the indirect sales efforts for Spireon.
Wow. Well, exciting to understand what Spireon's doing today. I know Spireon's, a name that I've heard for a long time. So it's really, great to understand what Spireon's doing now and for future. So why don't you talk to me a little bit about what Spireon's doing and specifically vehicle intelligence? It's pretty cool.
Well, yeah, I mean, vehicle intelligence is really just that, right? Kind of what I just alluded to. You want any fleet operator or business owner wants to kind of gather that data or that intelligence from any part of their operation, and then the commercial fleet is no exception, right? You want to be more efficient, more effective at what it is you do. So, our technology embeds in vehicles, and we're able to extract, whether it's driver behavior, vehicle diagnostics information, vehicle performance information, and they're able to use that data to be better at what it is they do, right? So they're able to monitor their fleet. So there's a massive amount of cost savings that comes with being more efficient and more proactive with your fleet of vehicles itself. But you're also able to run a better operation, right? So your customers, your end users are having a better experience with you. You're able to be, on time, be more efficient, communicate better, be more transparent in your entire operation. So your entire supply chain coming and going have a better experience working with you. So, it's kind of an end-to-end, we fit that, fill that void in the middle. Helping them be better at what it is they do for their end users.
Yeah, well, I see. I mean, logistics is a huge piece to, a company's success if they're in that industry. And I would imagine that it would be highly efficient, cost savings, just to understand where your drivers are, how quick you're going to be able to get a package delivered. If somebody calls in sick, how are you going to maneuver through that? I mean, I see so many different reasons why vehicle intelligence is so important.
Well, it is. And it kind of, the importance has kind of mirrored the technology advances, right? Back when we were selling the stuff in the Nextel days, it was the dot on a map. I know where my assets are. And that's obviously an advantage, right? That serves a purpose. And if I own these vehicles, whether it's 15 vans for my HVAC company or a national trucking company with 1,000 tractor trailers, I want to know where they are. But as technologies evolved, as wireless networks have evolved, you're able to extract more data, right? Whether you're Amazon and you have people using your platform for retail purchases or even their web services, you want to have that data available ultimately for your end users. So it's evolved so that they're able to kind of pull much more intelligence out of that vehicle.
So, and it's a good point too. All these vehicles now are becoming intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
There's a certain system that's in the vehicle to be able to do that, but you need the network to be able to help or to control that. Where do you find our network today? And is it working for the amount of intelligence that we have in these vehicles? Do they work together?
Yeah, they do. And I think it's kind of a chicken and the egg scenario, right? So, the telematics, industry overall and what we're able to provide to our customers is ultimately dependent on the wireless network that's out there, right? So as both have evolved, as the networks get bigger, better, and faster, the products and services that we're able to offer the end customers, evolve along with it, right? So if first, like I said, 20 years ago it was a dot on a map, and now with 4G, what we're able to do is, provide video. We're able to provide cost-effective video in cab, so to enhance driver safety and to reduce liability costs for the owner. So, I mean, that's kind of that technology has evolved. As the technology evolves, cost goes down. As the network evolves, the capabilities exist so that we're able to kind of layer on these products and services. So the more we're able to layer on, then the businesses ultimately become dependent on those, and they slowly but surely start incorporating those services and those products into their core operations. It kind of feeds each other.
It does. It feeds each other. So yeah. I know currently, I mean, there are areas that people have to worry about. It might be just 3G, and in the metropolitan areas and some surrounding areas, we're talking about LTE. We're talking about 4G. We're going to take a little while. It's going to take a little while to catch up when we're starting to see our 5G markets light up from the carriers. Yeah. It's starting, but it's slow, right? Yeah. But I'm curious, what are the future capabilities that Spireon's going to have once we do light up for 5G and beyond? What does it look like?
Well, a lot of those, it's going to be exciting to see. I think first to address the network side. I mean, pretty much 4G, most of all the carriers will tell you there's 4G everywhere. And we find that to be true. I mean, I think, every successive 3 or 4 years, you see just massive improvements in network, not only speeds, but coverage, right? So I think for the most part, and if we're talking about the United States, I think most every area, even the most rural, has a degree of coverage. And, whether you're even still flowing on 3G, it's a seamless experience to the end users. The technologies are built and the wireless networks and the wireless carriers are in partnership with us. But 5G is exciting. I think, as you said, kind of the chicken and the egg. I think the development will come, right? So I think 5G, first and foremost, we're going to see some enhanced video applications, right? I talked with 4G. Once 4G launched, then you started to see the development in the technology, the video technology. Dash cams have been out there for a while, but up until very recently, they were largely relatively cost prohibitive for a mass deployment, right? But as the technology improved, the cost goes down, the networks are there. Now you're able to start deploying these solutions. And I think 5G will just accelerate that. So there'll be a lot more video applications. And what that'll then lead to, because what 5G is going to give us ultimately, that everyone's going to witness is going to be autonomous. So, I mean, you have all these companies that are investing major dollars, and we all know who they are. We see them every day, but there is going to come a day where there are more autonomous vehicles on the road than there are not, right? And with that becomes just massive network requirements, edge compute, cloud requirements, and then of course the embedded telematics working. The companies are going to have to work together and collaborate with the telematics applications that are going to be embedded in the vehicle, and the video requirements that come with that will be extreme by today's standards, but then they'll just become commonplace. 5G will enable that.
I'm really excited to see what this future holds for us. I mean, I had a 6G moment on my show a couple weeks ago, and just
Jeez.
understanding where it's going. I mean, we're already talking 6G, but we haven't even really gotten to the 5G, right?
Right.
So with that said, we're talking about holograms. We're talking about the ability to smell, taste, feel when that person or that thing isn't in front of you. And I'm like thinking, okay, in my car next to me, I can have a hologram friend driving around with me while my car's driving for me, and I'm just reading a book.
That's right. That's right. It's a whole new definition of backseat driver, right? Just it's all taken care of.
My buddy, the hologram behind me, telling me to slow down. I love it. So I'm curious too. I mean, like I said, do you have any specific location where you're really targeting because you're trying to, sell that 4G, on the network itself that might not necessarily work in some places? Do you travel? Do you have rural markets as well?
Yeah, we're pretty consistent around the country. Like I said, I think you're going to see some experiences perhaps in the very rural markets and rural areas where you're not getting the same connectivity. But I think the technology's there. Those have been in the industry for a while, no store forward. It's like, so the technology's there to overcome those gaps in network coverage. So from a fleet manager's perspective or a corporation's perspective, you're not seeing that. It's not a factor like it was, even as of 5 years ago. I think that the carriers have done a pretty great job, especially with their roaming agreements. So regardless of whose network our product, whatever that product may be, is traveling on, their roaming agreements have enabled a pretty seamless experience to the end user customer.
And do you have in the car, I mean, the way it's wired into the car, I know with our cell phones, I mean, it transmits at 0.6 of a watt for coverage. So you're trying to, pick up that cell tower that's close to you, but it's still not there. Is there something different that's installed in the car that would make it, much more powerful so you can continue to, travel and still continue that session?
Yeah, no, it's largely the same situation where you get different, the different types of installation, but ultimately the modem, it's got a radio, it's connecting to the cellular network. And the session, the persistence is pretty, it's pretty much there. Like we notice now with our new iPhones, or of course, in my case, my Samsung, we don't see drops like we used to see, right? We tend to hold those data sessions, and we see that session persistence. It's the same with our technology. So the radios are constantly getting better. The devices are constantly getting better, and the installs are varied, right? Some of our installs are simple plug and play into the OBD2. Certain applications and fleets require more of a hard install where there are cables and connectors involved. And then, of course, we're partnered with some OEMs where we're just activating our service on their embedded, their originally embedded modems. So
very good.
Comes in a variety of flavors.
It really does. My goodness, it has definitely changed from when I was doing this, years ago, it seems, now that I'm thinking about it. So we're going to get into so much more. I want to obviously talk to you about some of your customers, some of your applications that you're using, some of the things that they're seeing. I want to get into that, but we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back after these messages.
Engineering Wireless Services, EWS, provides comprehensive turnkey design, build, maintenance, upgrade, management, and consulting services in the cellular, public safety, and private LTE telecom business sectors. EWS has the experience, resources, and technical skills required to meet our customers' needs while ensuring compliance with complex local, state, and federal regulations. For more information on how EWS can help your communication needs, please call 480-968-6000 or visit our website, engineeringwireless.com. Extenet is the leading private owner and operator of converged communications infrastructure, delivering advanced mobility and fiber connectivity both indoors and out. Focused on delivering tomorrow's connectivity today, Extenet designs, builds, and operates future-proof, ultra-fast, high bandwidth, low latency, and highly secure networks, all based on industry standards. Whether customers need fiber-connected small cells, neutral host in-building wireless networks, private wireless networks utilizing the CBRS 3.5 GHz spectrum, mobile edge computing with Extenet's Edge Hub, or enterprise connectivity solutions, Extenet has your 5G solutions covered for all of your wireless needs. For more information, Visit our website at xtonutsystems.com.
Welcome back to Connected with Laurie. I am so excited to be joined here with my dear friend, Tom Robertson from Spireon. Tom, again, psyched to have you on the show. And before the break, we were talking a little bit about Spireon, what the applications are in the cars, how it's working with the networks and some of the drivers there. And I'm super curious. I did see in the news recently that you joined up with another company from a partnership perspective. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, if you're probably referring to LoJack. I mean, it gets the PR because they're a well-known name, right? They're a name. They have an incredible legacy, brand in this industry. They are probably the first from a national perspective. For when people thought of telematics, they're like, oh, you must be talking about LoJack, right? That was probably one of those brands that were, even beyond their own company. So it's exciting. So yeah, we acquired the LoJack company and assets. It's a really great fit. I mean, they've been doing this a long, long time, and I think it fits with our Kahu portion of our business, which sells to the auto dealerships. It's a very differentiated offering. Our technology is fantastic. We're probably one of the technology leaders in the space. So if we bring on the LoJack brand and the LoJack experience that they bring to the market, and I'm fairly sure that product will be rebranded under LoJack just to capitalize, going forward on that name. So that's just another example of moving the Spireon brand forward with great technology and partnerships.
LoJack. I got to tell you, there was one, I'm thinking of LoJack, and I remember having a friend who had their car stolen. This was back years ago. And they were talking to the cop and they said, by chance, do you have a LoJack? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, no problem. We will find your car.
We'll find you.
Sure enough, they did. It was a pretty cool experience. But yeah, something that you wouldn't think back then that would have been. But look at it now. So tell me also, I mean, collaboration. Future innovations. That's my show, right? What are you doing for the future? Tell me a little bit more about some of the collaborative efforts that you guys are doing today.
Well, I mean, from a collaboration perspective, I think that's going to speak to kind of future success too. That's what I like. What Spireon does well, I think it incorporates. We're very technology driven on our own front. So the user interface we have, it's very intuitive, very easy to use. And we're really focused in that part of the business, but we, try to leverage our business partners very well. Also, one of my big partners now is a company called Derive. They have their own fuel efficiency and engine calibration product. So it's very unique and very differentiated value proposition that they go to market with. Well, we spent the last year doing integration work with them. So our products are now fully integrated on the back end. So they can effectively add our telematics services and all the capabilities we bring from a telematics vehicle intelligence perspective, bundle that together with their fuel efficiency and calibration product, and give that differentiated package to their end customers. So I'm a firm believer in especially leveraging joint distribution efforts with a differentiated value proposition, and I think that's an example of something that we're open to. And even our products and services, I mean, if you're talking about, are dependent on integration with other companies, right? So if you're talking about our trailer tracking product that has, you're able to, integrate with the data sensors in the vehicle, right? So if you're talking about a trailer track, you want to monitor the temperature in the trailer or in the reefer. You want to know when doors are open and closed, things of that nature, which are important. Our product is able to integrate with those sensors that may be in and around the trailer or in and around the vehicle, and provide that unified view in the intelligence and in the portal to the person managing the fleet. So, and then the other example would be the auto OEMs, right? So we're fully integrated with several auto OEMs, and our products and services get distributed without even doing a hard install of our hardware. So they're able to get on the same platform.
That's really cool. And going back to logistics, I mean, I find it intriguing. You're talking about refrigeration, and I obviously going through our pandemic with logistics and having so many challenges and difficulties getting product to where they needed to go because maybe drivers were sick or, people had to shut down. What were some of the efficiencies that kicked in because of your system and your applications?
Yeah, well, I think some of that stuff, some of that, some of those sensing technologies and integration with the telematics, right? I talked about temp sensing. Well, I could tell you that, we're seeing it live and in person every day. We're dependent on our supply chain more than ever, right? So throughout the past year, our supply chain was really keeping this country going, and then those fleets and those delivery drivers, and just think of Amazon, just think of how many independent contractors and companies that they've brought on just to meet the supply of the simple fact that everything we've been buying over the past year has come from a web portal and someone's dropping that off on our front step, right? So and then the trucking companies that are now delivering the vaccines, right? Those things have requirements. Those things need to be kept at a certain temperature, right? So it's that kind of capability that gets incorporated into the product and into the delivery mechanism. And then the people that are running the fleet, they can't afford mistakes, right? You need to get your toilet paper, right, on time when you need it. But then, even more importantly than that, Laurie, would be, the health facilities getting their vaccine supplies, on time and still in good shape.
Still in good shape. Yeah, I can't imagine having some difficulties by a truck or a driver not being able to make it. And you've just had to tell somebody you've lost hundreds, if not thousands of vaccines just because you weren't able to get it there. So one additional critical matter. And I know we were also talking about driver safety, so having the driver safe and understanding that, their speeds are, not exceeding a certain speed limit. Talk to me a little bit about driver safety, maybe how the insurance company responds and how the driver responds.
That's been a huge, I'd say that's topic number one. Like if we're talking strategy and thought process, the umbrella of driver safety in our world right now comes back to dash cam. And I talked a little while ago about, the advancements in technology have made it a more affordable, product and service. But the advancements in the technology have also made it be more realistic to deploy. Right. So, like for instance, the way our video dash cam works, it goes into the front and an in-cab, dual facing camera. And it's triggered by AI. So there's AI in the camera that can trigger when it's supposed to record, right? You can tell if your eyes are facing forward, they're looking down. So it's monitoring distracted driving, right? Are you doing something you shouldn't be doing, right? And it gives audio alerts to make sure you're, kind of redirect you. Right. And all that information is captured in the database. So the fleet manager is able to kind of, through a driver scorecard, grade you against your peers. And then good coaching can come from that. So, the technology is advanced to the point where it's an affordable, it's a realistic product. And I think every company takes driver safety, obviously it's a very high priority for them. But then of course there's the hard cost and the savings that comes with it. And really you're going to get that in two buckets. You're going to get that in the reduction in liability, because very, 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 very candidly, if you have video cameras, you're going to massively reduce the amount of claims you're paying based on fault with the liability situation. And then to your point, insurance. So there's no, whatever percent you're saving on insurance, which you generally do, it's pretty significant at scale when you're getting that insurance reduction, just because of what you're limiting now with your liability. They're able to give you, a lot of breaks per vehicle if you got a dash cam working in that thing.
I remember too, when we were selling this way back in the day, it was very challenging, however, for a company to try to sell their drivers that have been driving for them for years to try to have them now on camera being watched 24/7 when they're driving. It takes away, some of their freedom, so they would say, and the unions would start getting involved. Talk about, has that changed? Is that still there?
I remember those conversations. It's funny. And you're right. It started back in the day where they're like, you're not going to track me. And it's funny now, because that's literally all you were doing. All the companies were doing back then is they could tell where you were. Right. And then it started with geofencing, where you're like, all right, you're somewhere you're not supposed to be. And they didn't want, it's kind of the big brother thing. Right. And I could see, the video, I think what's happened over time is people have gotten more used to, accepting of the fact that these things are necessary in our society today. Right. I think by and large, driver safety is not just lip service. Obviously, companies are saving significant money by deploying these video and dash cam solutions. But by the same token, the driver safety is improved tenfold. And I think it's that a lot of the technologies that are in place that have enabled that. Right. So you don't really see a lot of pushback from that. I really frankly haven't been a part of a lot of those conversations. So I think that there's more of the universal acceptance now as technology's evolved. Look, cameras are everywhere, right? We see that in all aspects of our daily life. I think that, having them now with technology and the wireless networks kind of coming together, now you're able to see them in vehicle and making a real difference in getting, trying to eliminate distracted driving and making safety priority number one.
Absolutely. Could not have said that any better. And I'm so glad it's changed somewhat for sure.
It is a little different.
It is. So, all right, I'm a company. I have lots of trucks on the road. I know I need Spireon. I know I need this product. What's the next step for me to be able to move forward with you guys as far as, do I take these trucks off the road 100% for a day? What does that look like for me? Am I going to lose money? How does this happen?
It's all going to depend on whatever it is you do. You're certainly not losing money. So, and we would handle this, I think, probably as well as anywhere in the marketplace. It's whatever suits your purpose, right? So we have, our partners that are out there reselling our products and our services. We have our own installation group that would work with you. A lot of what we do, Laurie, I said, still simple plug and play also. So a lot of it can be self-installed. So I think it's, we make it as painless as possible. You're not pulling these things off, out of service for days at a time. We're able to work with you on scheduling. And as I said, the best part of our product is really just the simplistic sense of our user interface. It gives you all the information, but we're able to, with customized trainings and a lot of hand holding, able to get you going in a very painless fashion.
So you have lots of support. It's an easy way to get things done. And clearly, as a result of having things installed and having your vehicles tracked and everything that you have from an application standpoint, the efficiencies, the money savings, it's well worth it to move forward with us.
Yeah, I think any fleet owner, like I said, whether you're an HVAC guy with 10 vans out on the street and you're dependent on that and you want your customers to get a great experience, or you have a company of 1,200 trailers driving around the country hauling freight. Either way, you want to know everything you can know about them. And I think that's what we do well. We serve a broad array of fleets and assets and trailers out there. So I think that's one of our differentiators.
Pretty exciting. So now, Tom, I know you've been there, since the end of last year?
We'll call it last year, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And I also know that you are an amazing employee. You're an amazing, everything, your management skills, everything. They're so lucky to have you, I've got to say.
My number one cheerleader. Thank you.
Always have been.
I'll tell you, and you and I have had these conversations. Yeah, it's a fantastic company. And what's going to determine where I'm at is the people, respecting the entire organization and going to market with a customer central, customer focus, right? Everything we do is geared around the customer experience, making sure they're having the right experience and delivering a great product. So that makes it a great place to be, knowing that that's the goal every day.
Well, I know when you touch something, it turns into an amazing thing. So, I'm curious, what other steps are you putting in place now that you're starting to get integrated into the company? What's Tom Robertson going to do next? Let's talk about that at Spireon.
I think honestly, I think Laurie, it's very simple, and we're expanding our relationships. So we're aggressively looking for partners, and the right partners that are affiliated, whether it's on the network side or on the distribution side. Anyone affiliated with fleets or trucks or wireless sales. We're looking for key partners all throughout the country, geographically focused or national in focus, of all sizes. So we really want to increase our brand, increase our distribution, and increase our level of partnerships. And similar to the things I alluded to before with these key, increasing our differentiation. So forming partnerships with companies that we can kind of go to market with a joint differentiated offering. So we're very, we're nimble, we're lean, we have a lot of talent, a lot of intelligence. So these are just looking to form as many partnerships as we can and get that brand out there.
Well, if there's one thing I know about you, you are going to get that job done. That is for sure. So one last question that I usually leave on. Obviously, we're in this pandemic. We're starting to see some positives, with the vaccinations coming. But I'm curious, it's been a year. I'm curious, what were you doing professionally, personally last year that you're not doing today, or vice versa? What are you doing today that's changed?
The big thing is this little video camera on the top of my laptop.
Yeah.
So it took it's the I really the phrase "the new normal" is at the same time the worst thing I ever hear, but in the reality is it's very appropriate, right? So everything we do is different. Everything that our families do, our kids do, it's changed, and hopefully the improvement's going to accelerate over the next few months, and we're going to come out of this. But things are going to be a little different. So I think frankly, getting used to the new way we do business. So you and I are having this conversation. I know it's a podcast. It's going to go out there over a specific format, but all of our meetings now are virtual, right? I'm very excited to get back to face-to-face meetings. All these partners that I know across the country, hope they all know I'm so ready and so excited to start meeting face-to-face with you and have more productive conversations as opposed to a video call. So that's the big difference.
So true. I cannot wait for that either. I am so excited to be able to see somebody face to face. That is absolutely no question. As a matter of fact, I was just invited to go to New York City within the next few weeks. And I'm like, oh, I want to go. Like, how do I do this? I forget. I used to travel.
Right.
And I'm like, wait a minute. Now I have to start traveling again.
It's a big deal now, right? Just a quick trip to New York becomes a big deal.
It really does. It really does. Yeah. Tom, it has been a pleasure. I'm so happy to see that you're doing great things at Spireon. And you're going to keep that up. I know you are, my friends.
Thank you, Laurie. It's been a pleasure to be with you. Always good to see you.
Always good to see you, too. We will catch up soon. Thanks so much.
Take care.
Interested in being part of our show or advertising on our podcast? Contact us at info@fifthgenmedia.com for more information. We'd love to be a part of your success.